People of the watch community, a thought just occurred to my head. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put this forward. It just literally happened right now. What if Rolex decides to call this VTNR in 3 weeks? In 2022, who would have thought that Rolex would take the crown and put it on the left side? What if they do this in Watches and Wonders, this coming one right now? We all know that Rolex is a marketing king, right? They don't promote watches. They don't do that. If you go through all of their ads, everything that you see on Instagram, they barely talk about any specs. They simply sell us an idea and promote it as a necessity. That's what Rolex does. Let me prove it to you. In 2022, Rolex took a direction of boldness and audacity for the brand. The idea of a left-handed watch conveys uniqueness and carried out to specific people. Okay, I don't know how many people, but that's the case. That's the story behind it, right? I mean, who would have thought that they will ever release anything like that? These are not the type of watches that you would expect from Rolex. It is the only left crown watch in their entire catalog. And a lot of talk went around it. It's not for everyone. We do understand that it's not everyone's cup of cake. But what if Rolex suddenly decided to make this watch extremely successful, even more successful than it already is, by calling it off the catalog right now? It'll go down the books as the only left-crowned Rolex in the entire catalog. I mean, can you imagine the type of noise this would make? Last year, the Oyster Perpetuals, 1 year, cold out. What if this happens again with this VTNR? It would really be a smart business move. It'll be one of the shortest produced GMTs ever, period. I mean, we speak of, we don't like it, it's not for everyone. We can surely speculate all what we want, but no one knows until Rolex announces it. Watch what happens if they call this one out at Watches and Wonders 2023. Rolex can also kill it or lessen the demand for it, digging its grave in other words, if they decide not only to keep it, but release another left crown GMT. And even though this might create more options by doing that, which is great, let's just imagine the Pepsi or Batman, for example. I still think it will devalue the position of this VTNR as the only left crown Rolex, not even GMT, Rolex period, across the whole catalog. Surely it'll gain short-term momentum until you realize, like, what's the point? There's so many options. You get a Pepsi, a GMT, and a VTNR that are all on the left side. That's lazy effort. What's the big deal? I'm not excited. But until Watches and Wonders 2023, this VTNR, as it stands today, is a true definition for Rolex thinking outside the box, this unconventional way of doing things. Who would have thought that they would just move the crown to the other side? I truly think this could be the way forward for Rolex, as opposed to revamping old collections, refreshing them, modernizing them. And other brands followed, right? Patek did release something on the left side right after this one came out. Maybe just make something completely out of this world. This VTNR, for example, the left-handed crown and so the deep sea, right? Is we've seen that with the deep sea. Yes, it's not a wearable size, but it's also in titanium. Maybe that's sort of a blueprint for other watches, right? Maybe they play with titanium on wearable case sizes. In fact, I think Rolex will enter a new sphere of demand if they make this GMT the shortest production run ever. If they call it out, I think that's what will happen. On the note of the VTNR, this is my first video about it also, so let me kind of give you this quick fact about the Destro Rolex, the Sprite Rolex, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the same watch as before, just turned 180 degrees. This is a shortcut, I know, I don't want to go into a lot of details. It's the same specs as the Batgirl Pepsi, basically the same as all the other classic steel versions, identical, just that the crown is on the right side. That's what it is. Triggers emotion-driven reactions. That's what it does, right? The preference, of course, for the majority is that you wear your watches on the left hand, so you want the crown to be on the right side. But to be honest, this general opinion, mine, yours, it doesn't matter for two reasons. Number one, it's purely subjective and personal. Secondly, and once again, our opinion also doesn't matter, because the simple fact is that even though the majority does not like this watch, let me put it this way. It's harder to get this watch from an AD than even a steel Daytona. That never happened across any other GMT. They never released and discontinued the GMT in 1 year. The short conclusion is that luxury mechanical watches are unnecessary objects, and emotions are more important than anything else when buying or wearing one. This one evokes a lot of emotion. What are mechanical watches really if they don't trigger any emotions? Negative or positive? Semi-negative for now, but it could be very, very positive if they call it out. Let me know what you think.